Welcome to another episode of the Adultish Podcast. You can like, listen, comment, share, and subscribe to Adultish on most streaming platforms. You can also find Adultish on Twitter at AdultishP0DCAST. Welcome to another brand spanking new episode of the Adultish Podcast. It's your host, Afiya, and I'm joined yet again by my lovely co-host, Mr. Vincent Bernard. Say hello to the world, Vincent.
Hello. Oh, I didn't quite hit that note, but hello, beautiful people.
You know what you meant.
The voice failed me.
I know. Just like my brain just failed me a moment ago. I was like, wait a minute. Am I supposed to say brand spanking you? Isn't that like the branded thing that I do? I always say brand spanking. How am I supposed to make it work?
Right. I
started the sentence off wrong, but that's also because I've had a large glass of wine and I'm just like, relaxed.
Exactly.
The last thing I ate today was a lean cuisine, and I ate it like at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I had a late lunch.
I'm having a similar experience as you. I had a late lunch. That was the last thing I ate. So this drink is hitting me much more intensely than normal.
Yeah, in all the right places. Though.
Yes, indeed.
When you've had a hard day, you need that drink to
That's
slap.
right.
To slappity slap hard. Speaking of things slapping hard, I want to talk a little bit about women. So how can we segue that with slapping? I promise it all fits. It all works.
Is it only women?
No,
yeah,
it's not only women.
Yeah.
It's not only women. What I did want to talk about is, so in our last episode of the Adultish Podcast, we spoke about taking, parentheses, Dave Chappelle, and parentheses, joke like an adult. And in that conversation, we touched on, but did not fully hop on the wave of the Me Too movement.
Right.
Dave Chappelle, and call out culture and
yes.
cancel culture. In the latest Dave Chappelle comedic special on Netflix, Sticks and Stones, Dave makes a note of saying something along the lines of how the Me Too culture is like killing comedians. I'm not sure if he said that, but I know Gary Owen definitely said that. Right. Well, Dave spoke about how he said that he felt like the Me Too culture was just like the I guess like the storm before the hurricane, if you will,
right.
In the sense that like it brought a whole bunch of shit happening to women now with like super strict abortion laws.
Yes. Yeah.
But as Vincent and I, said that we talked shit about the show before we watched it. Then we talked shit about the show after we watched it.
But it's lovely shit though.
Lovely shit.
Yes.
I touched a little bit on, but I actually I didn't. I don't think I did it on the show, but he and we have conversation before we record, and I spoke to him about a Gary Owen special that was either on Showtime or on Cinemax, that I watched after I had watched the Dave Chappelle special. I didn't watch all of the Gary Owen special because while I do like Gary Owen, I do take him in moderation.
Right.
I like him. I like that he's able to ride a nice line between black comedy and white comedy.
Right.
Sometimes I do think he's a bit of a cornball, but
yes.
I praise him for doing what he does because black folks love him. So in his special, I forget the name of it, so forgive me. He speaks about the Me Too culture,
right,
and cancel culture, call out culture.
Yes.
He made a point about his friend Kevin Hart, his dear friend Kevin Hart,
right.
And before he talked about Kevin Hart, he said, man, this Me Too culture is like really killing like it's really hurting comedians out here. Like now we got to be really careful about what we say. He spoke about the Louis C.K. Incident and how like, it now people can't be comedians, right? Like because if you tick off women, it's a wrap.
Right.
And then he went on to talk about Kevin Hart and how he had the tweets from 10 years ago,
right.
And how, how is it that something from 10 years ago could be so damning to him, you know, when he met Kevin Hart. Or actually, in him knowing Kevin Hart, he said that Kevin Hart told him that one of his biggest dreams was to host the Oscars, and that dream became a reality for him. But unfortunately,
he even poked fun at that.
Unfortunately, you know, a tweet from 10 years back where he said that he would hit his son over the head with a dollhouse if he exhibited homosexual behavior was a big thing that, you know, hurt him and hurt those chances.
Right.
And Gary Owen goes on to say something along the lines of like, people should have understood that was a joke, because think about it. If he's saying he would hit his son over the head with a dollhouse, that would imply that not Dave Chappelle, I'm sorry.
Chappelle said this though,
that Kevin Hart would buy a dollhouse.
Right. Bring it home, build it.
To beat his child over the head.
Right.
And what man is going to buy, if he sees his son exhibiting homosexual behavior, buy a dollhouse to then beat his child with a dollhouse over the head? He's like, that's extreme in of itself, to one, beat a child with a dollhouse, and then two, to spend money on a dollhouse to then beat your child over the head with it. And you know, talks about the idea, like, he's like, yes, I've heard people talk about, you know, the shit that they've been through when being gay or whatever, but
none of them went that extreme
to being beaten over the head with a dollhouse. So he mentioned that, and then he also mentioned how Kevin Hart's friends were setting him up in Vegas, and again, that was the thing going back to the Me Too call out culture, with, you know, him being caught with the woman in the car. And, you know, oh my goodness, Kevin Hart's cheating on his wife. And blah, blah, blah. Even though I looked at that like, why would we be surprised when Kevin Hart told us in his stand-up that he was not a good husband to his first wife?
He's very honest about who he is.
About how him, and I forget the woman.
I forget her name. The first wife.
She's like, she's a bit of a comedian herself.
Right.
The shit wasn't good, and he openly says, "I was not a good and I cheated on her, and I didn't treat her right."
Right. Yeah.
So,
exactly. And I feel like Kevin Hart is a perfect person to use when you're talking about the like call out and cancel culture, because it's like, I can understand how some people are, you know, feel those tweets are problematic, but I appreciate that there are people that are like, we should have known that was a joke because of the fact that it's so extreme. And there are, you know, exactly, you know what I'm saying? And people who, there's all kinds of stories surrounding people's experiences coming out to their families and being put out their homes or whatever. But like Chappelle said, none of them, you know, is at the level of their parents buying a dollhouse to bash over their head. You know, the ridiculousness of it in itself should be like a red flag.
A red flag, yes.
But again, a lot of the people that are steering the conversation and guiding our opinions are, you know, LGBT Inc. and the right members of this coalition, if you will.
Lighter members of the coalition.
Exactly, because, you know, as we all know.
Which is a coalition in of itself.
Exactly, you know. But this is because of the fact that it is a quote-unquote rainbow situation with people of all backgrounds and ethnicities. There are going to be certain people that's going to be like, oh, okay, like whatever, like I got real problems in the world. I can't focus on what Kevin Hart said 10 years ago. And they're gonna be others that's going to zero in on that, write their think pieces, and Kevin Hart is canceled. And I have a problem with that, like people bringing up old social media posts. Just the other day, one of my Facebook friends had posted something that Chrissy Teigen said in like 2010 and 2011 about like trans women or whatever. Now, if you're going to bring up some shit that someone said 8, 9, 10 years ago, like to me, that's the trashy thing, because
that is the tragedy, because
people grow, they
you
change.
have so much time to skirt through someone's timeline from 10 years ago when they were probably at their most naive, most insecure, uneducated, unknowledgeable, just being, you know, told something about trans folks and still formulating their opinion about it, not having any real world experience about it, to then turn around and be like, this is how they felt 10 years ago, you know, and this is how they feel now. It's almost akin to when women love to say, if he cheated on you before,
he'll cheat on you again.
Cheat on you again.
Right.
And it's kind of like, but you're still with the nigga though. Like you still with him though.
Right.
So clearly you ain't learning some shit.
Amen.
Come on.
Amen.
Come on.
Come
on, Shelley.
It's the truth. And you're right about that. And I don't know. Like, I just feel like if someone would have scrubbed and none of y'all motherfuckers do this. But if somebody would have scrubbed my social media, I'm sure if you go back far enough, you will find some ignorance, or you may find me making a joke about something.
Yeah.
And y'all may not get that it's a joke, and you pass it off as well. If I become a somebody someday.
Absolutely.
Even when I become an adult.
I mean, y'all can scrub my timeline all off. Frack y'all on.
Listen, I say a lot of dumb shit online. Sometimes I get in my moods and I'm like silly, and I'll just say things that people get. A lot of my shit was
like about Grimm and watching that
That's
show.
That's right. Afiya used to live for Grimm, and she be on Twitter.
For Grimm and live tweet that show up and
she used to live tweet Grimm, and I would be like, girl, if you didn't watch another show.
I know. That was
and she had me watch Grimm, and it is a good show, y'all. But anyway.
It was interesting.
No, it was a good show. It had its own mythology. Yeah. But we digress.
So with the whole call out and cancel and Me Too culture, it had me thinking a lot. So this morning,
the monologue, the Fifi monologue. Tell it.
So this morning, I'm sitting here and I'm making some waist beads for a client.
I want waist beads.
You do?
I think I do.
You should let me.
Give me your waist beads.
We get the colors. We do it up.
Okay, cool.
All
Good to know. Okay, thank you.
So. Making some waist beads for a client, and I'm sitting here and I'm really thinking long and hard about thinking about this Dave Chappelle special and the whole Me Too thing and the cancel culture thing, and I'm like, you know what? It's crazy to me how women, how a lot of women really use this Me Too culture as a vehicle for feminism.
Right.
And then it got me to thinking, feminists out here ain't real feminists.
Right.
And the reason that I said that, some of these, let me say some before everybody attack
right,
me.
True.
Call out and cancel. Some of these feminists.
Some are about that life, and I respect those.
Yeah,
those
some
women.
are about that life and some aren't. But I just started thinking about the meaning of feminism, right? And how the meaning of feminism, at the end of everything, is equal treatment. We want to be equals. We want to be seen as equals. We want to be treated the same way as men, and we do not want to be the inferior to anybody.
And bravo, right?
Bravo. Clap. As a matter of fact, let me clap up the feminist agenda. Let me give a little clap it up to
Gloria
the feminist
Steinem,
agenda, right?
Yes.
Clap,
Davis.
right?
Who are the other power feminists out there? Shout them out, speak their names.
I can't remember all of them.
Even I did a paper on little tips, but it's okay.
Yes,
but please,
I am.
Go on, sis. I'll follow your lead.
But then I started thinking about how, when we as black folk told the white folks to keep their white brothers and sisters accountable for things like, Officer Orangina in the White House. I'm not going to say his name.
Yes, right. You won't conjure that
Why
devil.
Aren't feminists keeping women accountable? Other women accountable? And I started really thinking about that because I started. Here's where my mind went.
Take us on a journey.
Taking on this journey, right?
And I'm gonna interject when necessary. Because I'm a man.
Please.
My opinion is secondary and/or doesn't matter. So I am going to follow you
give me
on
the
this.
Thoughts.
Yes,
right?
I will.
Because I'm sitting here.
Take us on a journey, sis.
And I'm thinking about the fact that why aren't we as women holding women accountable for the shit that they do to men, right? In the sense that you have women, you have a lot of these Me Too women out here coming out saying, I was sexually assaulted, I was abused, I was this, I was that, trauma, I was hurt, and I want my voice to be heard, and I want my story to be told, and I want people to know that it's okay to come out and speak and all that good stuff, which is beautiful.
Right.
But why aren't we also talking about the women who use their femininity to get what they want, and they use their femininity to state things like I was raped and I was attacked, knowing damn well that they weren't, in order to progress their futures.
OMG.
Case in point, you have I started, and in my mind, again, I'm in the morning, early crack of dawn, and I'm putting these beads together. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't really use Bill Cosby in a way because he is super problematic, right?
Yeah, he was rapey.
Rapey.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein rapist.
Rapey.
Yeah.
But then I also started thinking about, but can I put into perspective for a moment that maybe some of these accusers that Bill